What's going on YouTube? Back with another video today. In today's video, we are installing the fuel pump wiring harness on the Lightning. If you didn't see in our previous video, we installed the Ford Innovations billet triple pump fuel hat. If you didn't see that, make sure you go check that out. Did the full install of that, and now we are going to be upgrading our fuel pump wiring. This video is officially sponsored by HDCircuitry. He makes all kinds of badass wiring kits for our trucks. Everything is really nice, nicely loomed. You can see pre-terminated for a full plug and play system. He offers all kinds of wiring stuff. So if you haven't heard of him, I'll leave links in the description to all his stuff. Make sure you go check him out. He makes really nice wiring kits. This is his fuel pump harness kit for the Ford billet triple pump hat. He also offers stuff for the stock hat if you just want to simply upgrade your wiring. If you're running 2 pumps, 3 pumps, everything. Battery relocation kits. If you don't want to relocate it, just battery upgrade kits. All kinds of stuff. Everything wiring. He has it or can do it. So make sure you go check him out. Like I said, links will be in the description to all his stuff, website, Facebook, YouTube channel, all that stuff. So today we're going to be installing our fuel pump harness kit for the Ford triple pump hat. We are only running 2 pumps, so we have that. And you can always upgrade down the road. He offers just the wiring to make it a 3 pump kit. So very cool stuff. So today we're gonna be installing that. Like I said, everything's really nice, pre-wrapped, pre-terminated, plug and play. All you gotta do is crimp a couple crimps and do a little bit of heat shrinking, and that's pretty much it. It's gonna be real simple, super easy plug and play install. Really nice kit. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on that. You are gonna need also your stock wiring harness. If you're upgrading to the billet hat, we're gonna be using our stock harness as well. We're basically gonna have to make some cuts right here and cut it off the hat and then use this pigtail basically. But I'll get into that in a minute. First, we're gonna start at the front of the truck. Basically, remove this little cover and it reveals this back stud here. And that supplies power to the fuse box, and that's where we're going to pull power from for the pumps. This right here is for my electric AFCO heat exchanger fans, and we're going to be adding this wire here. And by the way, it comes with full instructions. See if I can open it. See, it comes with the included hardware, all the instructions and things you need to know, along with some detailed pictures on everything it's explaining. So super nice kits, guys, super cool. So we're gonna go ahead and start with this wire here. This is what connects to the fuse box. You want to connect the fused side and then run the rest of the wire down following the stock harness. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll come back to you. All right, so that's all done. You can see we attached it right there. That wire is for my fans for the AFCO heat exchanger, and that's the HDCircuitry wire that runs. Basically, I looped it around, put the fuse box right there in case I ever have to change the fuse, and then ran it down. It comes down. I took my fender liner out, obviously. Come down, wrapped it around, and you can either follow that main harness there, but I actually went above it because I have my wideband wire going there and my brake line. So I'm just gonna follow that, and it should come to about right here. So we got that there, just loose. You don't want to zip tie it up or finish anything up yet because you may have to go shorter, longer, whatever. So we just want to run it just kind of loosely. And now we're gonna work on the fuel tank side. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna do the tank side now, and that's this harness here. It's the harness that's going to go and splice into your fuel hat and your stock harness. So we're going to start with the stock harness. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut it off at the fuel hat. I'm going to leave a little extra room in case I ever need to reuse this stock hat for whatever reason. You don't want to obviously cut it so close that you'll never be able to use it again. So we're going to leave about, I don't know, an inch. We're going to go ahead and cut these wires. So maybe we have this pigtail. Okay, so what I did is I just stripped the ends of the wires. You can see there, just enough to where you can get a good crimp on it. You don't need to be excessive and have a bunch of wires sticking out. Make sure you put your heat shrink on there first, because if you crimp it without the heat shrink tubing on there, you're gonna have to redo it. So slide them on there first. Don't forget your heat shrink tubing. So you have them on there. And we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna start with basically the power to the pumps. And that's these big wires here on the hat and the big wires in his kit. Some of you may have only one set of wires, two, depending on your setup, three. But basically the bigger wires are the power to the pumps. So I'm gonna go ahead and match those up to these, get those done. And then it doesn't really matter as long as it's one of the bigger wires, by the way. It doesn't matter. Just red to red, black to black. And then we'll get to the smaller wires in the kit. And just another thing too, when doing stuff like this, have a real set of electrician's tools. These are cutters, crimpers, all that stuff in one. And it just is really helpful when crimping. It's a lot better than just using pliers. These will provide a really good crimp. Basically, you can see the different gauges there. You put it in the correct slot and crimp it. So a real set of crimpers goes a long way when doing stuff like this. All right, so we got a good crimp. You can see there. If you want to know if you got a good crimp, take both hands on the wire and just give it a little tug. Make sure they don't feel loose or anything, but it's not hard to do. So we got that all crimped up. We're gonna go ahead and slide the heat shrink tubing over it and get that sealed. And then we're gonna get to wiring the two remaining wires on the hat and the harness into our stock pigtail. I'll show you which goes to what. But let me get these sealed up. All right, so as you can see, we got that all sealed up. I just use a lighter, honestly. I've never had an issue doing that before. Just put a little heat to them and the heat shrink will shrink right up. Technically, I think you're supposed to use like a heat gun or something, but I've never had an issue using a lighter. As long as you're careful and just keep the heat moving over the heat shrink, it should shrink right up, and you see it forms a nice tight seal. So now we're gonna work on our stock pigtail that we cut off of the stock fuel hat. You can see there, just left a little extra in case we ever need it. We can wire it right back up. But we're gonna start with the stock pigtail. Two wires will get wired to the HD circuitry harness, and then the other two wires will get wired to the fuel hat. So let's start with the HD circuitry harness. Basically what you're gonna do is, it's pretty simple, black to black. And then the OEM harness, the one that's pink with a black stripe, will go to the red. So we're gonna do that, and then I'll go over the remaining two wires. Okay, so those two are sealed. Like I said, it's black to black, pink with black stripe to red in the HD circuitry kit. And then the last two remaining wires coming from your little stock pigtail is also pretty simple, because you're gonna match yellow to yellow on the hat, and then the pink with the orange stripe to the black on the hat. And that's it. This part's gonna be all wired up. And then I'm gonna get the fuel tank back under the truck in position so I know whereabouts the harness is gonna come over the rails, and we can finish this install. All right, so I'm getting ready to slide the tank under the truck to get it in position, like I said, that way we can kind of see where everything's gonna be to finish up this install. And I wanted to kind of show you guys the stuff I always like to use. It's called Split Loom Tech Flex. You can see it's like a braided loom that you can put over wiring, and it's split so you can put it over wiring that's already terminated. And it just adds a nice finished look to stuff. You can see I added it here to all the connections and the wires and everything, and it just makes a nice little, I don't know, it just looks nice and finished this way. You don't have like a mess of wires coming off the hat. I just kind of loomed it all up in this stuff, just kind of wrapped it around. It's split, like I said, so you can just put it over the wire that's already there. It just adds a nice braided finished look. I really like it. So that way everything looks nice and clean. You don't have just like a rat's nest of wires. But anyways, guys, this is all finished. Like I said, everything's terminated, wrapped, ready to go. We're gonna slide the tank under there so we can see whereabouts things are gonna end up. All right, so we got the gas tank under there, and we just kind of put it in the general area it's gonna be. Just lined it up with the mounting points, just so we can kind of see where the harness was gonna pass over the frame rail, so we can finish mounting the PRM. That is that guy there. Let me get the light so you can see. So we mounted it there. You can see there's like, it's right at the end of the cab, right there on the outside of the frame rail. We ran our wire nice and clean. kind of underneath that ground strap there, and just along and follow this. There's a hard brake line that goes right there, and just follow that all the way up front into the fender here. You can see we followed the hard brake line as far as we could, and then went ahead and tied it to the main harness there and up into the engine bay. So that's nice and clean. I'm really happy with the way that came out. Runs all the way back and to our PRM. Now the PRM is pretty easy. He provides a self-tapping screw and just tap it there. And then when we put the tank up, we'll pass the harness over the rails, mount the power to the PRM on the same side as the fuse. I don't remember what side it is honestly, but if you take this off, just mount it to the same size as the fuse on the post. You'll plug the plug in that's plugged. And then for grounding, we're going to use that hole there. You can see where the bed attaches to the frame. There is a hole already there, so you don't have to drill anything. That's where we'll do our ground. Now if it won't reach there, you can also use this here. Just take this out. All it does is hold the harness into the frame rail on the other side. It's not too important. You can put your screw and ground there. All right guys, so you can see the gas tank is up and in the truck, all bolted up, good to go. And we finished up our wiring. Like I said, we went ahead and attached the ground right there to that hole that was already there. That's where the frame meets the bed. It's a little bracket there. And there's a hole that we just used and slid a nut and bolt through to connect the black wires to that. And then we ran the red wires to the post on the same side as the fuse in the PRM and connected the connector, and that's it. Nice and clean. You can see how clean that it's all ran. The wire that runs up front there runs all the way along the top of the frame, nice and clean. And let me slide underneath, see if we can show you. Yep, and that's the rest of the wiring. Basically just looped it around the excess and then put it over the frame rail. Came across the frame rail and connected everything up. Super simple, looks really nice. I really loved the braided sleeves. Just gives a nice finished look, but yeah, looks really good guys. I'm really happy with how that came out. And everything fit really nice, plugged right up. Everything's pre-terminated and good to go. So now our fuel pumps are all wired into the new billet hat. And we are ready to start on the next part of the fuel system. So yeah, that's pretty much it guys. Like I said, hit up HDCircuitry. He makes some really cool wiring stuff for these trucks. Everything's all pre-terminated, sleeved, nice, ready to go for the most true plug and play setup. And it's just a nice upgrade to do to your truck, especially the fuel pumps. It's a very popular thing to do is to upgrade the wiring, because sometimes the wiring can be overtaxed if you're running bigger fuel pumps or the fuel pumps at 100% in the tune, etc. It's just a good thing to do the upgraded wiring. Another thing we are going to have to do with our setup is we're going to have to bypass the resistor up front. We're going to do a full video on that, so it's going to be another video, probably the next one, because I do got to get that done. But that is going to be it for today's video guys. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Like the videos you watch, really helps out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the wiring kits, if you have them on your truck, all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next video guys. Later.